Hello and welcome to the Retail Journey Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Charles Greathouse.
And I am James Harris. And today we're talking to Jon Williams. Jon wears a lot of hats. So among other things, he's the CEO and partner of 94.9 Radio John Deek, on-field and on-court announcer for the University of Arkansas football and basketball, and MC extraordinaire for fundraising galas here in Northwest Arkansas. Welcome to the Retail Journey, Jon.
I made him put extraordinaire in there. That was part of my rider, which is quite extensive.
Did we get it right, sir?
Green Skittles, not the white ones that J-Lo likes. No, thank you guys for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
No, so I ran into you 2 or 3 weekends ago at it's called Breakthrough T1D.
Right.
So type 1 diabetes. It's the money from it used to be JDRF,
right?
Junior Diabetes,
Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
Yeah. So the money really goes to researching a cure for type 1 diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking in the lobby afterwards, and my wonderful wife, who I come home at night I listen to you guys in the morning. I listen to you guys on the ride home because you got the 2 segments now on your radio show. And she came up to you, which is not her normal MO. Like grabbed you by the arm, said, "You need to meet my husband because he's your biggest fangirl."
Well, and she had me at hello on that one. I go, okay. And that was really, first of all, that event was first class, and having it at Osage House with, if people haven't been to Osage House yet.
Yeah. Oh, it was my first time. It's beautiful.
That was also my first time, and I had no idea what an incredible facility that was. And so that was a first-class operation.
They raised almost $500,000.
Yeah, and their goal was nowhere near it. And that is what, as somebody who has been deeply involved in charity events across Northwest Arkansas, all I care about is what's your goal? What do we get? And it's my job, along with, the event planning committee and everybody else that runs those events, to break the goal. And they shattered the goal.
Awesome.
And it was a team event. Shout out to Kim Daniels and her team.
They did a really good job.
Incredible auctioneer.
Really good job.
Also Allison Wise of 4029. And really, it was a great event and really unique. It was not long. I know a lot of people, especially in the vendor community, who have to go to a lot of these charity galas. They're constantly
early night.
Yeah. They're a lot of these galas go long, like a few hours. Like people have a set amount of time.
We're not 20 anymore.
No, 20 is that's in pictures that aren't on social media anymore, is what that is. But I thought that event really hit the sweet spot. Great auction items, not too many, just enough. A lot of
high
great personal testimony from people who are type 1, children, adults, and things like that. I just thought it was a first-class event.
Do you have a connection to type 1 diabetes?
I do.
Because you were on the board of JDRF for a while, right?
Full disclosure, I was the first president of the board of JDRF when that branch was first created in Northwest Arkansas in the early 2000s, because my son's mom is and has been a type 1 diabetic since she was 11.
Yeah.
And so when we had Jack, it is the understatement of the year to say that was a challenging birth time for him. Yeah. And they told us that up front. They said, because you're dealing with a type 1 situation, you're going to have all these possible problems. They made us go down to Little Rock. They made us go to UAMS before we had all the hospitals that we have up here. And they put us in a room and said, you're 40% more likely to have spina bifida. You're 40% more likely to have all this litany of
when he was born.
Things. Before he was born, we were getting the gender reveal down there. And basically they were like, okay, by the way, it's a boy, and here's all the things that could go wrong, just FYI. And so we're blessed and fortunate that, 23 and a half years later, no, he's fantastic. We're very, very fortunate and very lucky, but not everybody who is type 1 diabetic that has kids are. And so that's really what we're trying to do, is improve the lives. And as we like to say, go from type 1 to type none, which I thought was clever. I'm like, 25 years I hadn't thought of that. Why? Where have I been? But that's what they're basically trying to put themselves out of business. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like we do a lot of the charity stuff, the industry we're in, whatever. But I'm a type 1 diabetic.
How long have you been type 1?
Adult onset.
Really?
So I had a traumatic event. That
Were you like 600 or something, or low? Were you high or low?
Oh, I was very high.
Oh yeah,
very
like
high.
800
so
or something.
When I finally, so I'd lost a ton of weight, right? And I'm drinking apple juice out of the carton. It's like, oh, this isn't right.
No,
I got to I was about 500.
Oh goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
that's
probably
danger zone.
35, 6.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No, it's just
And so now you've got everything, all
I
the
got
technology.
the pod right
together,
here.
yeah.
I got the technology. I'm
Yeah.
probably getting insulin as we speak.
People who were type 1 diabetic. Are you okay? People who were type 1 before, I would say the year 2000.
Oh yeah.
Technology was straight out of Flintstones, man.
Yeah.
It was it's a lot of guesswork, it's a lot of math. You're like, I think this is the long acting. Here's the short acting. Let's inject them both. And I think I need a Coke. And I mean, it was just really a tough way to navigate it. But
witch
now,
doctor kind of thing.
Oh my goodness.
I know a couple of guys. They're twins. They're adult men. They're close to my age, whatever. And they had the gene, which I didn't have the gene. I had a different thing. But they each had the gene, and one of them had a car accident.
Oh no!
And that triggered his onset.
A car accident?
Car accident. So if you have the gene, right, a traumatic event can spur it.
Oh wow!
And the other, a couple of years later, had pneumonia.
That's
and
dramatic.
That triggered it.
Yeah.
So both of them now are active type 1s.
Oh gosh.
But it's a weird disease.
It is. And there's
a weird disease.
I think there's a lot here in 2025 where we're still finding out about it. And that's what the research is going for, is to help people manage it better and live their lives with it better. And events like that one where I was lucky enough to meet you is one of those things. And it's really cool how Northwest Arkansas, specifically the vendor community, is so invested in projects and in nonprofits like that one. There's so many. If I started naming them, someone's going to get mad.
Pig, that's a huge event.
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to be part of Kiss a Pig for almost 18 years. They made me they came to me first as a contestant, and if anybody knows about Kiss a Pig, it's not a gala, it's 10 mini galas wrapped in a gala, and they basically make all these people have their own contests. It's a genius business model.
Yeah,
and
it's a very late night too.
Oh, it's I have gotten to the John Q. Hammond's RIP, Rogers Convention Center at like 5 o'clock and not left there until almost midnight. Many occasions. And they've had incredible Wallflowers and Blues Traveler and just incredible.
I saw Blues Show.
Yeah. So these events that happen in Northwest Arkansas are oftentimes the most profitable events that some of these galas are. Like, for example, I know for a fact ADA, their most profitable event every year is in Northwest Arkansas at Kiss a Pig, by the way they do it. Wow. So it's really cool the way the Walmart community, the vendor community in Northwest Arkansas really get behind some of these things.
There's always a couple of vice presidents at Walmart that are in the running for the 10 people that are bringing things, and it makes a huge difference.
It does.
It's not even the personalities; it's the strength that Walmart talks about this a lot. That we have such scale. We can change the world. And this is just a microcosm of it.
Yeah. So you grew up in Northwest Arkansas.
Yeah, I was born in Salem Springs.
So you have to deal with a lot of people. I say deal with a lot of people. That's such a negative connotation. You have to deal with these people. But you encounter people that come to Northwest Arkansas who have only been here like a year, 2 years, 3 years.
People,
and they walk around with their mouth agape going, I thought I was coming to Arkansas. What is this stuff? And it's just really cool to see where we are now as a community in Northwest Arkansas.
About a third of our company's revenue comes through about 2 square blocks in Midtown Manhattan.
Yeah.
And to talk to them about like what'd you guys do this weekend, and then they'll ask me what I did, and they're like, well, that was just on Broadway like last week,
Yeah.
We're not limited.
No.
And access we have to cool things.
Yeah, and
I've always said that.
No, of course not.
Always said that.
No, when I was in junior high and high school, like there wasn't a reason to come to Rogers or Bentonville unless you had a game.
Yeah, we talked about
basketball, football, baseball.
all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, what was the draw to Rogers? What are we, Dixieland Mall?
Nothing. Yeah.
What is it?
Well,
and
if you were in the
Fayetteville
Olive
or
Garden
nothing.
Club, then you could drink.
And honestly, do you remember this? Here's fun. Are you guys old enough to remember that where every time I had to cut a commercial on the radio or anything, and it was for a bar or like Cafe Santa Fe, shout out, R.I.P.
Yeah, I remember those.
Where I'd have to, the commercial would always start out the same way. Attention members and guests. You'd have to say attention members and guests before anything that had an establishment with alcohol in it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what am I?
Because you had to sign a thing,
Yeah,
pay
yeah, yeah.
$5, and then they would reimburse you the $5. It's so stupid.
The ABC laws that have existed in this
Totally.
area, they're like, it's something.
You know, for those that are considering Bentonville, it is no longer a dry county.
no longer that, yeah,
This is no longer the case.
It is,
It
well,
is,
I mean,
and that's changed a lot.
that has changed quite
Oh,
a bit.
boy.
And it's funny you say that because it's only been, how long has it been that Benton County's been not dry?
10 years,
10,
maybe.
15.
I was thinking 10ish, and now it's a completely different.
Well, and growing up in Siloam, which was like, if this little pocket is conservative, like Siloam is even more so.
Mhm.
I drove through it last weekend with my youngest son going to Tulsa for a basketball tournament. And there's just liquor stores and weed dispensaries everywhere. So I don't recognize this.
Siloam
place.
Springs and by the way, I apologize because I'm sure people who live in West Siloam Springs want me to differentiate between the
Please.
two.
Yes, of course.
West Siloam and Siloam has become a virtual den of iniquity between all the liquor stores, all of the, I mean, you've got Cherokee there now. You've got weed billboards every 20 feet. It's
But Chick-fil-A also. So
well, don't forget
Chick-fil-A's
Chick-fil-A. Let's start with a number one. But yeah, what Siloam Springs has become the Wild West.
It's
I expect,
crazy. It's crazy.
Doc Holliday to come walking. Let's go.
I'd have never imagined it.
There's no way you could have. Like if you could have been projected into the future and seen 2025 Siloam Springs, you'd be like, come on.
No.
There's no way.
Like, no, that's New York City.
Is that a weed billboard? Behind the weed billboard? Yeah, that's what it is. So,
All right, let's get into it. What brought you to Northwest Arkansas? Because you're not originally from here, are you?
I'm not. My mom is a native bred and buttered Arkansan. She is from El Dorado, which is L.A. That is lower Arkansas.
Yeah.
And she and her whole family grew up in Magnolia, El Dorado. But I grew up in Colorado in the shadow of the Flatirons of Boulder in a town called Longmont, right on I-25. I came here to play baseball. I came here originally to play for Norm. I was given an invited walk-on because clearly they did not have a very good view of the video I sent them, and they were somehow mistaken into believing that I could have pitched for the University of Arkansas, a program that regularly puts people in the major leagues. I am 5'11", and at the time I was about 145 soaking wet. And while I threw really hard for a kid that looked like he was 11,
Size.
I did not throw nearly as hard as Scott Brocale or any of these people that went on to incredible careers for the Razorbacks. So after about 5 minutes and realizing, what am I doing? I stopped at baseball. But I stayed at the U of A, and I've obviously not
So you
left
didn't
Fayetteville.
play your full 4 years.
Play 4 years? I stayed 4 years. I did not play 4 minutes. Norm, bless his heart. I tell this story all the
You were
time.
really good in high school.
Oh, yeah.
and editing videos. it would
Really
appear.
good high school baseball player, and I probably should have went the JUCO route where they could have put weight on me to where I looked like I wasn't 11 but 14, and would have had more success that way. But I went straight. I'm going right to the SEC to try and do this nonsense.
Yeah.
Clearly had no male guidance in my life telling me that I was out of my mind. So I tried it anyway. But I ended up going to the U of A and journalism, getting into the broadcast program, which back then wasn't much of a broadcast program until Larry Foley showed up a year after I left, which I thought was awfully convenient. Now it's an incredible broadcast program.
It
Really is.
kind of known for it.
Oh gosh, what they've built on that campus for the U of A with their broadcast, whether it's KUAF and their new facilities just off the square, or that new TV studio they have in Kimple, it's pretty impressive. Yeah.
Excuse me. You met my daughter. She has a twin brother.
Oh,
And they're juniors this year, seniors in high school next year. So we've done a lot of campus visits.
are they Bentonville?
Rogers?
Rogers.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Mounties or Heritage?
She's a Mountie.
Okay.
Her brother is Providence, Patriot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're all split up all over.
Sure. Diversity.
That's right. But we've done a lot of campus visits, but each one of them independently did a U of A campus tour.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like a big college guy. Like I didn't quite finish.
Yeah. All right.
And most of my classes were like after 7 p.m.
There's nothing wrong with that either. Learning is not day specific.
But it is such a great campus.
Oh.
And it's so much fun to like all the history, all the stuff that just belongs there for 150 years.
Isn't it crazy?
It is.
I'm biased. I mean, I'm from Boulder, and if you've never seen the Colorado campus in Boulder, it is breathtaking at the base of the Flatiron. It's to me, I grew up with that, and that's just always like, oh, such a beautiful campus. But they didn't have a baseball team, so I didn't go there. I came to Arkansas, where I played baseball for 4 minutes. And my kid graduated high school in 2020. So we'll get into that later. What a fiasco that situation, doing graduation ceremonies in an empty auditorium via Zoom. But he graduated in 2020, and I'm like, I'm trying to get him to look at other schools. And I think that the reverse psychology of it actually drove him to go to Arkansas.
Nice.
Because we kept trying to go. He wanted to be in, filmmaking, journalism, things like that. We're like, hey, Mizzou's got a great program, and Kansas has a really good, and all this. And he's like, are you kidding me? No, I'm going to Arkansas. And I finally was like, let's go to Boulder, show you that campus, walk around. It's just beautiful. And we walk around, take the tour, everything. We get done, we get in the car, and he goes, that's not Fayetteville. He has this romantic Parisian Eiffel Tower view of like Old Main and that campus. Oh, yeah. He grew up on it, so it really meant a lot to him. And he graduated in December, so did something right. Lucked into him.
Did he have
being
a
my
moped
kid
on campus?
He didn't. He lived in the Frisco apartments. Down on Dixon and West, which is a whole other podcast entirely. But he lived down there, and he got through COVID, all the Zoom classes, not entering a building until like 3 semesters into his career, and challenging time for him to graduate high school and go to college. Yeah,
I help with the youth at Fellowship. They call it FSM, and my guys are all seniors graduating actually this weekend.
Oh, wow.
From Bentonville, and got
with them since they're freshmen, right?
Yeah. So the way they do the cell group, I've been discipling these guys since they were freshmen. It's just been a really, really sweet time, and they're awesome. Shout out to the guys.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It's an exciting time, is right.
15 of them are all going to U of A. So
yeah.
I expect to be spending a lot more time down on campus.
Well, and we appreciate there being more Arkansas kids on that campus and not having Texas plays. I'm not judging or saying anything
great
bad.
Texans. But no, these guys, and a lot of them had options all around. But at the end of the day, it's like, no, this is a great school. Great environment, and
there's some great programs. Obviously, the business school. Shout out the Walton Business School, and there's some incredible
Bell engineering supply chain in the country.
I mean, I wonder why.
Yeah.
That's definitely if you want to go into supply chain management or anything as far as business.
Marketing programs really good. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I have a couple of journalism guys too.
Absolutely right. Yeah. And what's cool is seeing a lot of the U of A alums go on to like Good Morning America, the Weather Channel, stuff like that. It's really awesome. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about like on field, on court, all that stuff, but let's do a little like meat and potatoes here first. Okay. So it's a retail journey,
right?
We generally, we don't always, but we generally talk retail. And when we were chatting earlier this week, you have a lot of brands, right? Like national brands that come on your station, hire you for kind of local media, similar to the billboards you see on Walton Boulevard, right?
Absolutely right.
Talk a little bit about that, what that brings to them in terms of exposure.
Happy to. I've been in radio, as you've both illustrated, and as we've talked a little bit about. I mean, I began my career in '93, and so this is my 32nd year on the radio in Northwest Arkansas. And so for the vast majority of it is one of the situations where you go find a big company that has a radio station, and then hopefully if you do a good enough show, they pay you, and yay, I get to be on the radio, and then you get a salary. And then basically your salary is derived from the ratings that you get through either Arbitron, Nielsen, Nielsen or what have you.
Yeah.
But then as radio began to kind of get like, it started to shrink a little bit, and big radio conglomerates began to get rid of big salary local talent. About 2010, I kind of saw the landscape, and I began to realize that if I was going to stay in this medium, I needed to become the salesperson. I needed to be the one to go out and get the clients, get the brands, local, national, what have you, and make it to where the situation was they saw more ROI by having me endorse their brands on my show and not having the middleman of the salespeople. I'll be the salesperson. And so I began that in 2010. And when you start something like that, it is not easy. No one's doing what I was doing.
Right.
And so you kind of had to build.
That's the coolest part of it.
Yes. I'm a rare personality type to where I don't really feel fear. I really don't think there's anything if I just feel like I can do it.
Yeah.
And so I knew that I was immediately foregoing, because I make no salary. I don't make a dime from my company doesn't pay me any money in salary. And so all of my compensation comes from a commission of these partners.
Yeah.
And so therefore I am incentivized to just keep going out there, finding the people that I think fit the loyal and royal army the best. And fortunately, that is everybody from small businesses, really small businesses, to Nestlé and Coca-Cola and Sonic and things like that. Yeah. And so I've been doing that now for 14 years. I actually love doing it. I'm very competitive. And so I like to sell because I like to beat other people in sales. And I'm very, very, I guess you would say, protective of the brands of the people I get on my show. I care a lot about people knowing those brands, to the point where if you were to go to anybody in my audience and ask them, I'm going to say a category, you tell me who John and Deke have on there. Like, you go to them and go, who's their furniture store? Get it at Sam's. Who's their liquor store? Macadoodles. Who's their pharmacy? Call Your Drug. You can go right down the line, because I do only exclusivity. I won't have competing brands on my show. And I think that those brands see the ROI from that when they can drive down 49, look up at 5 billboards and see 4 HVAC companies in a row, where I don't think people really get much ROI out of that.
Well, and I just, as a listener for years, like if there's 4 options for something, but one is sponsoring the loyal and royal, right?
Thank you. And that's the goal. And I'll tell you this, and it's one of those chicken or the egg things. Are they a huge brand because I gravitate towards, or do I help make them bigger brands? And I'd like to think it's a little of both. Yeah. We try really hard Deke and I really care about letting everybody know that when we buy a car, Deke has, and I'm not exaggerating, Deke has probably bought 11 cars from Rath Mitsubishi.
Then you trade out like every 6 months or so.
It feels like it's every much more than that. But we joke that we will pull up into the same Call Your Drug parking lot at the same time. We go to Macadoodles. Everything in my home is Sam's Furniture. And Benjamin Franklin does our plumbing, and everything that we talk about on the show is in a form of how they have made our lives better. And so that's what we try to impart to our audience. Yeah.
I feel like it's easier to talk about the things you authentically feel, especially in an environment where, like, just reading off of a script is felt like nobody.
Yeah, they can, and you know what? People aren't dumb. People have a BS meter, and they can tell when you're like, this guy doesn't, right? Like, you'll watch I don't know, I'm trying to think of a national spokesperson. Like, when you see somebody like a Kardashian and they're endorsing like Hyundai. Come on.
What does it mean?
Am I really going to think that Kim Kardashian's rocking a Santa Fe? I have a hard time believing that. I, of course, am making both of those up, and I'm probably going to hear from their attorneys. But I mean, it's things like that when you hear Tiger Woods does not wear a Tag Heuer. Let's be honest. Although Tag Heuer is a great brand. he's probably wearing a Rolex or something like that.
You can hear in a podcast when they go from sharing the thing that they care about to reading the script that they're getting paid to say.
Exactly right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hit like and share, and just they mail it in. And when we do endorsements on our show, we literally integrate their brand with our brand into the story where people don't know the difference.
Yeah, you do.
And so that is what we have tried to do. And fortunately, we've got 26 partners on our show right now, a lot of national brands, a few vendors are on there, and it's great.
This is way off topic, but do you ever listen to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend?
I'm a very big fan of Conan O'Brien's, but Deke is a way bigger fan of Conan O'Brien's. Letterman's my guy. I grew up with Letterman.
Yeah.
And when I got to go up, that's a whole other thing. I could do a show, and the security guard could see what a complete nerd I was about it. And after the show was over, I'm standing around just like, am I going to see anybody? This would be cool. And he goes, you want to sit in the chair? I go, what?
A chair.
And he goes, you want to sit in Dave's chair? Get a picture?
Oh, wow.
So my wife and I were there, and everyone had started filtering out, and we just kind of crept up there. I sat in Dave's chair. She sat in the guest chair, got a picture. That will probably be on an easel in my funeral. That photo.
That's the easel photo.
But to answer your question, Conan O'Brien, I think, is a masterful podcaster.
And the reason I ask is because, the podcast venue, if you're commercializing it, is pretty unique. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't seen it, you should pull it up on YouTube, where he does an ad for a bidet.
Oh, go on.
And he clearly hadn't read the script
until
it was being recorded. And he just goes insane. It's the funniest. It's probably the funniest segment that he's done on his podcast.
That is genius. But I'll tell you,
have to. I'm not going to go into it because it's a little vulgar, but it is so freaking.
And you know what's funny is that initially, I'm sure that the marketing people, or actually the higher than the marketing people of that bidet company, probably lost their minds when they first heard about it.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh, great, Conan O'Brien's just dragging our brand of a bidet." But then the marketing people are like, "Do you know how viral this is? Do you know how many clicks this is getting?
It's got 30 million views on YouTube or whatever."
We did a thing just this morning on the show, because we've got Ozarks Go on the show. They're the official internet of the Loyal and Royal Army. Thank you so much for allowing me to do this.
Oh, yeah.
And they came up, they go to us and they go, here's the promotion. If you're a brand new Ozarks Go customer and you use the phrase Loyal and Royal 3, it's 3 free months. Now, we can say that in commercial form and endorsements all we want, but Deke and I, mostly Deke, sat down and wrote an entire song out about it on our show that sounds like Dio. I don't know how many Ronnie James Dio fans we have. I bet you could count them on one hand that are watching this, or maybe they're bigger than I think. But we did a whole song about Ozarks Go and the Loyal and Royal 3 and the whole thing. And I mean, it's a banger.
Love it.
It's just
amazing.
And so
you got on YouTube or something? We can look up.
We'll probably put it at least on our social media page. Okay. But we just did it this morning, and I mean, we sent it to Ozarks Go, and they lost their minds. They loved it. They're like, "It's so great. How many of these can you do?" So finding new ways, like you were talking about with Conan O'Brien, is really it's the key to get into find how it sticks in people's minds. Yeah. I love that story about the bidet, though.
You've got to look at that.
That is classic.
So we talked a little bit about your kind of unique model in terms of a radio station. When we chatted last week or week before, whatever, I said, I assume that there's other, markets that have a model like this that you learned from. You're like, nope, I think
there may be
one I'm pretty aware
right.
of.
And there may be, I'm not going to sit here and go, I'm the only one in America.
So we use this thing in our company called the 5 Voices. So, and the 5 voices, there's a pioneer, a connector, a creative, a guardian, and a nurturer.
Wow.
Right. And you've got all 5 of those voices, but they're in different rankings. So, I'm the pioneer. That's my primary voice in the company, which necessitates that your last voice is nurturing.
Correct. That's absolutely right.
Does that ring true?
It does. And because of the fact that it's they named the station after us. I mean, they which I thought was really great. And that's what we wanted to do. It's like, if we're going to come over here, which was 9 years ago next month, we're going to be the brand. And so at that point, it's the Loyal and Royal Army, it's Radio John Deke. And so now you're protecting not only the brands of your your partners. You're going to protect your brand, because now you're worried about how you're melding the two. And that's what I'm most grateful for, is the fact that these brands have trusted us to elevate their brand awareness and their brands within the call to action to people to actually buy their products at points of sale to our show, which I'm incredibly grateful for. Every day we get to do that. Yeah.
That's really cool. So you shared something with me that I want to bring up. This community knows Cameron Smith well.
Oh, yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah.
He's either gotten a person a job or filled a person's open role, or donated a guitar at Kiss a Pig. You have a connection to Cameron. What's your connection?
I do. Cameron was a mentor to me, but he was a mentor to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Bo Mattingly and Aaron Peters and a lot of guys kind of my age. I'm a little older than both of those guys, but guys my age, people my age. Neely Jones, he mentored quite a bit. A lot of people he would meet people at galas, and that's how he would get with them and start. And I don't even know that he did it intentionally. He just was a helpful person.
Yeah.
And the story that how I met Cameron is crazy. I was emceeing the Hope Cancer Resources Gentleman of Distinction in honor of Bill Fleeman, who was an amazing entrepreneur in Northwest Arkansas, and he passed away sadly of cancer. And I was emceeing the gala, and they had the situation to where I emceed it, but at the end, they were supposed to have somebody that was going to do, I think it was John George, that was going to do the ask, and he couldn't make it that day. And so about 20 minutes before the ask, I am not making this up, they come to me and they go, John George cannot make the ask, or could you do that? And I'm like, I've been asking these people for money for an hour and 45 minutes. Now you want me to get up and go, hey, but everybody, I appreciate everything. I'm going to need more money is what we're going to need. And so that's exactly what had to happen. But I had never done an ask before, really. And so I just like, well, how can I best connect with these people to do this? And that's what I did. I just tried to extrapolate it into, you think $50, but really it's a gas tank for people going to Nartai and things like that. Yeah. And I squeezed that orange as best I could. They got a stack of like envelopes like this. And they're like, that was crazy. Mike, you just shot us past our goal. It was just great. And so afterwards, this is going to be a reference everyone's going to enjoy. We all congregate at Eddie Haskell's, RIP, shout out. And we go there and we're all just just having a great time. And gentleman walks up to me and he goes, John, I want you to know that I've been in boardrooms from Miami to LA, and that pitch you gave at the end, you could have put in any boardroom, and he just going on and on about it. And I go, this guy is really nice. Thank you. And I'm just talking to him for 5 minutes, never got his name, never got anything. He's just very nattily attired, gorgeous wife. And I'm like, wow, that was great. So he walks off, guy next to me goes, you don't know who that is, do you?
You can tell.
I go, I don't. And he goes, that is Cameron Smith. And I go, now I knew his name obviously from CSA, but I had never met him or seen him. And they go get his card, get his number. What is wrong with you? Go talk to him. And sure enough, I go over there, I go, Mr. Smith, I appreciate all the kind words. And we became really close from that point on. And he changed my life. Yeah, he totally did. There was one point in my career when it was right before I had gotten the business model to own my show and do all this. And I was really unhappy where I was. And I could just see the future of them getting rid of high talent, morning talent and things like that. And I go to Cameron, I go, you know, your people make X and suppliers make Y. And I just want to do that. And he goes, what are you saying? You want to be a vendor? You want to work for one of these companies? I go, I know a lot of people that do. My son's mom has been in the vendor community for 20 years, loves it, great at it. And he goes, you just want to go around and knock on the door and sell Welch's grape jelly or Heinz 57 or to some buyer that's going to squeeze you for margins, and that's what you want to do? And I go, I don't know. He goes, John, you're a brand.
Yeah.
And it was like a light. This moment of illumination. And he goes, build your brand. Don't build anyone else's brands but yours, and people that pay you to build theirs. And it changed my life. Yeah. And on top of that, he just became one of my best friends. And he and Monica were just the very best. They would have fireworks every 4th of July at Shadow Valley. And he was an incredible person. And just grateful he was someone that took interest in me and took me under his wing. Yeah.
No, and most people in the community have some sort of a connection to Cameron. Mine was when I first started the business. I was working with a former business partner of his, and they were still friendly. And he goes, "Hey, will you come in? Like we've only been hiring for like salespeople and executives, and we're going to start hiring for analysts, like the low, like the people that are getting their hands dirty. Will you come in and give my recruiters kind of an understanding of what the skill set is?"
Right.
So I put together an hour, whatever, 45 minutes worth of content. Came in and did it. Was walking out, and he shook my hand. And he's like, "You have an IOU with me. I'll give it whenever you want to call it in.
Oh, wow.
I'll deliver."
That's a powerful IOU.
Right. And I held it for a long time, and I have two brothers, and my oldest one, he's a pharmaceutical rep. He was getting kind of wary of the industry because he layoffs every 3 years, and you got to start over, and there's no loyalty in that business. And he came to me and goes, "Hey, I want to become a salesperson for CPG. How do I do that?" It's like, well, you probably got to become an analyst. Yeah, you kind of got to work your way up. Like I'm not sure.
Here's the path.
I'm not sure your skills necessarily transfer.
Right.
He goes, "Well, I mean, I've got this advanced degree, whatever." It's like, well, okay, if you really want to push it, like, here, call Cameron. I sent him a note, and it's like, "Here's my IOU. Meet with my brother."
Oh, wow, you used your IOU on this?
And they sit down.
I know.
And they sit down, and he lays out what he wants to do. And Cameron goes, "Why are you talking to me? Your brother's like retail link guru."
He just saw things quicker and in ways you didn't see them. It was such a talent that he would have such perspective. He was also the first person to tell me to do fewer events. Because the perception is that you got to do more events. That way it's exposure. Exposure equals like familiarity. Familiarity means that people are more comfortable. And the whole thing. But he goes, "John, you are entering overexposure territory." Because I do a gala, I see you. I open Celebrate or Cityscapes magazine, I see you. And you need to make yourself more exclusive. And he was the one that gave me that advice. There was a point where I was doing a gala every 4 to 6 weeks. Yep. It was maniacal. If there's
not
a gala
hard to do here.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean, you could do one every week, honestly. Yeah. And I took his advice, and now I only do like 3 a year. And it was one of the smarter. Again, every piece of advice he ever gave me turned out true and helped me.
We see the full circle of like only working on the things you're close to, passionate about, so that you can speak authentically. And
right. And that's how I actually got into it, was through JDRF and things like that. But then you do those events, you keep breaking goals, and it's one of those, it's a good problem to have, is when they want to have you be involved with it. And I'm grateful too. Like the Cancer Challenge is amazing. The Gentleman of Distinction's fantastic. I mean, just go right. There's so many amazing events in Northwest Arkansas, but you can't do all of them. Yeah. And he was right. I mean, I got to the point where I would open up Cityscapes, and I'm there 4 times. And I was like, that's not
maybe too many.
Much,
it resonates a lot in this space. There's a lot of brands that are at Walmart that want to, execute at a higher level. There are a whole lot of brands that are not at Walmart that would like to be at Walmart executing at
that
a high level. And so, us here at High Impact, I was told early on when I was getting here, like, the most important thing is who you're saying no to. So that you are, tied to those that you really should be tied to.
Yeah.
And, early on I was kind of like, I'd like to have a few yeses, and then we'll work on the no's. But now we're at this stage where it's becoming so evident, and we're having to say no. And it's hard, cause you want to be able to help, but I can't, operate at a high level if I'm saying yes to everything. Need to be able to pace ourselves so that we're able to deliver.
That was the difficult decision I made. And I have had people from the stations I'm on to everyone go, "Why the exclusivity? You are cutting off such a revenue stream." If you listen to most radio stations, they'll have 3 different car remotes on a Saturday at 3 different locations.
You bastardize your brand.
Oh my God! And you'll Lewis Ford one, and then you'll be at the Auto Park, and then you'll be at McClarty, and don't get me wrong, all incredible dealers, all incredible things, but like, what are you telling all of them when you're like 10 to 1 at one place where I'm like, all right, man, cool, thanks a lot. And then an hour later, you're at a different place. I think that when I do exclusivity and like you talking about saying no to certain things and saying yes to the ones that you want to nurture a relationship with, I have just been fortunate that for the entirety, I've had people just renew every year after like Sam's and Collier's and Macadoodles and on, because they exhibit the loyalty that I try to give them. And so it has paid off in spades. I'm sure I've cost myself money with that, but I would rather have someone who knows that I'm loyal to their brand than someone who's going to be sitting there going, I don't know, man, is he talking about my competitor now? And
you create real value.
Right.
I've talked a lot lately as I'm talking to people. It's like, I don't actually want to receive a resentful check from a partner because, well, one, no one's going to write a whole lot of resentful checks.
They'll stop at some point.
But like, no, I want to have deep relationship. I want to be able to authentically be grateful for partnership and want them to be grateful, because that's the kind of thing that has stuck around at High Impact for 14 years is the folks that have experienced that. I'm thinking of one that's been here for 14.
I love that. 14.
Like 18.
It's about to bow up on you. You'll get it, buddy.
For a long time. But yeah,
19 in July.
I think there's something there for everybody.
No,
that like a spirit of fear isn't actually helpful. Useful that you have no fear. So that wasn't going to be part of it.
I'm a little too unflappable, which is both phenomenal and
there's a
problem.
shadow side to that.
There is. Like it's the reason. I started noticing this. I'd be at midfield. There's 77,000 people in Razorback Stadium, and I'm just like, all right, I guess I'm going to do this thing here on the field with just numb. It just doesn't affect me. It's weird. I don't know. It's always been that way.
When you're on the court or on the field, you can see it. Like you're there. You're doing a job.
I am
You're not aware of the people around you.
I'm really not. And unless
individuals, yes,
correct.
But the mass, no.
If I'm engaging with
that
someone,
pressure is not a felt pressure,
right? If I'm like doing the Whataburger Fry Shuffle, which Razorback Twitter loves so much, or the Tic Tac Toe, which they love even more, I'm interacting in that fashion. But I really don't. I don't really think about the other people. I'm just doing my best job and
super helpful.
Well, without having fear, maybe avoid mountain biking.
So we live next to the trail. We live next to the trail. Like it's so what a blessing to have that in Northwest Arkansas. It's because we live in Johnson, and I mean we are 500 yards from that trail, and we have started using the heck out of it. And mountain biking does terrify me, even though I grew up in Colorado. Because everyone I know that mountain bikes, it takes about a year and a half. Everyone wrecks,
breaks a collarbone. Yeah,
bingo.
I got a new one.
Collarbone.
I got a new one a couple years ago. Yep.
Have you? What's your worst accident?
I have a new collarbone. Yeah, I got that.
You have a new collarbone.
You got one on each side.
Is it brought to you by Mercy? What is this?
One was skiing. No,
I got Orthopedics.
Yeah, I got to pay full price. There was no sponsorship and no discount for the second either.
Man,
got the full.
You can't buy them in a bundle.
I was gonna say your podcast for the next year is brought to you by Ozark Orthopedics.
Yeah,
on Futrell Road in Fayetteville.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Kaler.
Exactly.
This is awesome. I'm afraid we've exhausted our time here.
I do that every time, man.
We normally do a lightning round at the end of the thing.
We can be quick.
Yeah, real quick. So
biggest failure.
Yeah.
Biggest failure.
Maybe that you learned
from. I mean, make it.
Biggest failure that I learned from. Ooh. That's a tough one. I would say I got syndicated early in my career.
Yeah.
Like in the late 90s. And I did not handle it the way I would handle it now.
Yeah.
And I would definitely go back and handle that differently. Big time. Impetuous. Just, that was my biggest. That comes to mind.
Yeah. So over the last year and a half, whatever, things are changing at a crazy pace, right? What are you taking away? What's your learnings from, the last
in America or the world or
particularly in business, but if you want to get it into the personal, that's fine.
The one thing I think is the bigger things and the more complicated things, the more simple it is. I love what we just talked about. Is it always comes down to relationships in business. It always comes down to handshakes, names, neighborhoods, making people feel like they matter. That I always tell my partners, the more you give me creatively financially, the better off our campaign's going to be, things like that. And so people start really worrying about, you guys are doing a podcast. Did you think you're doing it a long time, but like this thing is such a great idea. It's so cool. People need to be doing more of this, and they are. But do you remember the inflection point when you realized you had to do a podcast?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted to non-pretentiously actually help people.
Thank you.
And how can you give good information without just feeling like you're bragging about your thing?
Being known for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
And
like we're a consultancy at our core.
have you had good response within the Walmart community, vendor community, and things like that?
I got plenty of merchants that have shared different podcasts as we talk through lessons for new buyers, or even on the supplier side when you're navigating omni-channel growth. What are the things you need to pay attention to? And
that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's a smart idea. So I think that people are realizing that there's new, like you see movies nowadays. You used to never see people sit down for 30 seconds, like Tom Cruise with Mission Impossible. He has done every kind of media in the last 2 months, 2 years for this.
I read he almost died in this last filming.
I'm not shocked.
Doing one of his own stunts.
That guy does all his own. That's crazy, the stuff he does. So I think people have had to kind of evolve the way they perceive what their job is based on how you get kind of connectivity and traction with these brands. Yeah.
Yeah. And then last one, what's the content you're taking in? What are you enjoying lately?
Oh, a lot of streaming, a lot of Netflix, a lot of Hulu, a lot of Handmaid's Tale, a lot of Severance, a lot of there's so many good shows.
There's so many good shows right now.
I mean, to me, Severance is the best thing that's happened this year TV wise.
It's such a mind bender.
Man, you know what it is? It's Stanley Kubrick doing The Office.
Yes.
So if The Office were done,
that's exactly what it is.
If The Office were done in like 2001: A Space Odyssey, that's what Severance is.
Yes.
Is what
my gosh, that's so true.
That's a beautiful. Yeah.
And then if I see The Office, I'll just stop and watch the next 5 episodes, as long as it's not the last season or 2, which are garbage without Michael Scott.
Yeah.
I'm a big Nuggets fan.
I do like the Will Ferrell season, but
you know what? I did like that, and James Spader's appearances were amazing. And then I'm a huge Razorback, obviously, fan, and Broncos. Hopefully, don't embarrass me this year. So stuff like that. A lot of sports, a lot of baseball. Royals fan. I'm the weird Kansas City Royals, Denver Broncos fan, which is an odd hybrid.
Yeah,
hopefully the Royals doing great. Bobby Witt, we know we got the Walmart connection with that, so excited.
And thank you so much for spending time with us today.
My honor, man.
Gracious to do it.
Would you have me back?
I would definitely have you back.
All right. I'm honored, and it's a great job, man. And I want you guys to know they have an entire sheet of notes. These guys are prepared. They ain't just like winging it. This is a real operation. So I dig it. Good job, guys.
I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate you coming on. It's it's a treat to me personally.
Well, I loved it. I'd come back.
All right. And thank you all for joining in. You can, as always, you can find all of our podcasts, audio, video on highimpactanalytics.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And appreciate you being with us today.